Hi everyone, welcome to the today's session. So my name is Ranjani, Assistant Professor from School of Physiotherapy, Sri Balaji Vidyapith, Puducherry. So today class is the anatomy of female pelvis, abdomen, breast, reproductive tract. So we will see one by one. So the class learning objective is first one is to describe the anatomy and component of the external genital organs. So that is vulva, labia major and labia minor, clitoris, vestibule and perineum. So the next objective is to explaining the structure, location and functional anatomy of the internal genital organ including the vagina, uterus, uterine tube and ovaries. So the third one is to identify the blood supply, nerve supply and lymphatic drainage of both internal and external genital organ, genital structure. So the fourth one is to describe the anatomical structure, support and physiological changes of the breast including ducts, lobes and ligament. So the last one is to relate the anatomical feature of the genital organs and breast to common clinical conditions such as pelvic inflammatory disease, prolapse, infertility and breast pathology. So the anatomy of the female reproductive organ. So we know about the function of female reproductive organ. So the main thing is the copulation. So that is also known as the intercourse. So and then fertilization, growth and development of the fetus. So the organs are broadly divided into the first one is the external genitalia, second one is the internal genitalia and accessory reproductive organ. So we will see one by one. So first we will start discuss about the external genitalia. So external genitalia is also known as the vulva or pudentum. So it is bounded anteriorly by the mons pubis, so posteriorly by the rectum and lateral by the genitocrural fold. So the vulva or pudentum, so including all the visible external genital organs in the perineum. So that border itself, so it is covered by anteriorly by the mons pubis. So posteriorly by the rectum and laterally by the genitocrural part. So within this border, so inside this region there will be the pod, so that is the external genital organ. So first one is the mons pubis and then labia majora, labia minora, hymen, clitoris, vestibule, urethra and skin gland, Bartholin glands and the vestibular glands. So see this image. So this image will show clear cut image of everything. So this is the part of mons pubis. So already we discussed about the borders of external genital organ. So anteriorly it is bounded by the mons pubis. So this region is the mons pubis and posteriorly by the rectum. So and then laterally it is bounded by the genitocrural fold. So this is the genitocrural fold. So the parts of the external genital organ. So first one is the mons pubis. So you already know about that mons pubis. And this is the labia majora. And see the inside. So this is the labia minora. And this is the clitoris. So see the part of hymen. And this is the vaginal region. So this is about the external genital organs. So we will see one by one. So first one is the mons pubis. So also known as the mons veneris. So it is the part of subcutaneous adipose connective tissue. So lying in front of the pubis. So that is parallel to the pubic symphysis. And in the adult female is covered by hair. So that the hairy part is known as the escutcheon. So most of the female, it is present in the triangular in shape. So with the base directed upwards. So obviously the apex will face downwards. So functionally it is a dry dry part and lubricant during the intercourse. So next one is the labia majora. So labia majora, we can split the parts actually. Labia, which means lips. So majora, which means the larger. So the vulva is bounded on each side by the elevation of the skin. So the external genital organ in this region, so labia majora occupying the most of the spaces. So and then the subcutaneous tissue which form the labia majora. So they are continuous where they join medially to form the posterior commissure in front of the anus. So I will show the posterior commissure. So after discussing this thing, so the skin on the outer convex surface is pigmented, so mostly, and then covered with the hair follicles. So the thin skin on the inner surface has sebaceous glands but no hair follicles. So there will be the two parts, outer parts and then inner parts. So in outer surface, so it is pigmented and it is covered with the hair follicles. So the thin skin region, so that is the inner surface, was the sebaceous glands but no hair follicles. So the labia majora is homologous to the scrotum in the male. So next is the labia minora. So labia, which is same meaning, is the lip, and then minora, so that is the smaller. So majora is the larger one. So and then minora is the smaller one. So there are two skin folds of the skin and devoid of fat. So devoid, which means no fats. Okay. So on either side, just within the labia majora. So that is inferior to the inner to the labia majora. So anteriorly they divided to enclose the clitoris and unite with each other in front. So the lower portion of the labia minora fuses across the midline to form a fold of skin known as the fourchette. So I will show it in the picture. So posterior commissure. So it is the part of labia majora. So then labia minora is the fourchette and then encloses with the clitoris in the anterior part. So the labia minora contains no hair follicles or sweat glands. So the fold contain connective tissues, numerous sebaceous gland, erectile muscle fiber, and then numerous vessels and nerve ending. So like labia majora, so it is also homologous to the penile urethra and part of the skin of penis in male. So next is the clitoris. So it is a small cylindrical erectile body. So that I will show before the first slide itself. So that is clitoris is the small erectile cylindrical body. Measures about 1.5 to 2 centimeters, situated in the most anterior part of the vulva. So it consists of the glands, a body and two crura. So the clitoris consists of two cylindrical corpora cavernosa. So that is the erectile tissue. So the glans is covered by the squamous epithelium and is richly supplied with the nerves. So the clitoris is homologous to the penis in the male. So it is attached to the undersurface of the symphysis pubis by the suspensory ligament. So next one is the vestibule. So I think it will be clear. So the vestibule part, so it is a triangular space bounded anteriorly by the clitoris, posteriorly by the fourchette, and either side by the labia majora. So I will draw the image here for clearance. So this is the part. So this is the clitoris. So this is the vaginal opening. So this is labia minora and the major part is the labia majora. So this is the labia majora. So this is the labia minora and this is the labia majora. So this is the mons pubis. So that airy region is the mons pubis. So this is the vagina and then hymen. So I already show it in the picture. So this part is the labia minora and this part is the labia majora. So in the anterior part of the labia minora, it is covered by the clitorius. So this is the clitorius in the anterior part, and posteriorly is the fourchette. So this is the fourchette region. So this greenish green color is the fourchette region. So that we already discussed in the part of labia minora. So that is anterior part is the clitorius and posterior part is the fourchette. So joints together to form the fourchette, and labia minora in the anterior region it join and form the clitorius. So like that the labia majora. So this is the posterior commissure. So I will show it in the different color. So this is the posterior commissure. So this posterior commissure will connect the labia majora and then anus of the anal region. So see, this part is the perineal body of the female reproductive organ. So I think this will be clear. So next come to the vestibule. So it is a triangular space. So bounded anteriorly by the clitorius and posteriorly by the fourchette, and either side is the labia majora. So obviously, so this purple color part is the vestibule. So this is the vestibule region. Okay. So this is the vestibule region. So in vestibule there are 4 openings into the vestibule. So this image will be I think clear. So this region is the vestibule. So this is the vestibule. I show it in the previous image itself. So this is the vestibule. So this is the posterior commissure and this is the fourchette. So there will be the 4 opening, one in the urethral opening also. So first is the urethral opening. So the opening is situated in the midline just in front of the vaginal orifice, about 1 to 1.5 centimeter below the pubic arch. So the paraurethral duct opens either on the posterior wall of the urethral orifice or directly into the vestibule. So the next one is the vaginal orifice. So first one, so already discussed, so that is the urethral opening. So the next one is the vaginal orifice and hymen. So the vaginal orifice lies in the posterior end of the vestibule. So urethral orifice is the anterior. So vaginal orifice is in the posterior end of the vestibule. So in virgins and nulliparate, the opening is closed by the labia minora muscle. So but in paras it may be exposed. So it is incompletely closed by the septum of the mucous membrane. So that is known as the hymen. So the membrane varies in shape, but it's usually circular or crescentic in virgins. So the third opening is the opening of the Bartholin duct. So we already discussed about the urethral opening and then vagina. So second one is the vagina and the hymen. So the third one is the opening of the Bartholin duct. So there are 2 Bartholin glands, greater vestibular glands, one on each side. So that is the Bartholin gland, so also known as the greater vestibular gland. So they are situated in the superficial perineal pouch. So close to the posterior end of the vestibular bulb. So they are pea-sized and yellowish white in color. So during sexual excitement, it secretes abundant alkaline mucus which helps in the lubrication. So the Bartholin glands are homologous to the bulb of penis in male. So see the image. So this is the bulb of vestibule. So this is the bulb of vestibule. 2 openings. So this is also comes under the openings. of the vestibule. So this will be clear. The Bartholin glands and then Bartholin gland duct. So the fourth one is the Skin's gland. So largest paraurethral gland. So the Skin's glands are homologous to the prostate in the male. So the two Skin's duct may open in the vestibule on either side of the external urethral meatus. So next come to the vestibular bulb. So these are bilateral elongated masses of the erectile tissue situated beneath the mucous membrane of the vestibule. So the each bulb lies on either side of the vaginal orifice. So in front of the Bartholin gland. So we already seen the Bartholin gland where it is located. So it is just front to the vaginal orifice of the Bartholin gland and is incorporated with the bulbocavernosus muscle. So later we will discuss on the pelvic floor muscle. So they are homologous to the bulb of the penis and corpus spongiosum in the males. So see the Bartholin glands and then skin glands in this picture. So this is the skin gland. So for we seeing this thing, and then this is the Bartholin gland. So it's opening on either side. So there are four glands. So Bartholin glands are two pairs of glands and then skin gland. So see this is the bulb of vestibule. This grayish region is the bulb of vestibule, and so this is the Bartholin gland. So that is the vestibular glands. So next come to the perineum. So perineum is also comes under the part of external genital organ. So the most posterior part of the external female reproductive organ, located between the vulva and the anus. So it is made up of skin, muscles and fascia. So I already show it in the part of perineum. So this is the perineal part. So I will show it in the next image, so that will be clear. So the anatomical perineum. So there will be the type anatomical. So first one is the anatomical perineum. So anatomically the perineum is bounded above by the inferior surface of the pelvic floor. So below by the skin between the buttocks and then thigh. So laterally it is bounded by the ischiopubic ramus and ischial tuberosity and sacrotuberous ligament, and posteriorly by the coccyx. So this is the thing actually, the see the perineal body. So this structure is the perineal body in between the vulva. So this is the vulval region and this is the anus. So anus and then vulva, in between this region is the perineal body. So come to the shapes of the perineum. So it's the diamond shaped space of the bony pelvic outlet. So the two triangular spaces actually. So one is the anterior, so another one is the posterior. So in anterior triangle is also known as the urogenital triangle, because most of the parts comes under the urogenital region, and then posterior part, so that is the anal triangle. So the anal part comes on the posterior region. So that is why it is named as the anterior triangle and posterior triangle. See the image, this will be very clear. So this is the urogenital triangle. So that is the anterior triangle, and this is the posterior triangle. So this is a posterior triangle. Come to the anterior triangle. So that is the urogenital triangle. So terminal part of the vagina and then urethra. So it is divided into two compartments actually. So first compartment is the superior pouch, and then next compartment is the deep pouch. So superior pouch is formed by the deep layer of the superficial perineal fascia. So that is the colus fascia, and inferior layer of the urogenital diaphragm. So the content are superficial transverse perineal. So that is the paired one, and though bulbospongius covering the bulb of the vestibule, and the ischiocavernosus, so that is also the paired muscle covering the crura of the clitoris and then Bartholin gland. So this is also the paired muscle. So everything will be paired in this structure because that triangle lesion, one off is in the right side and one off is in the left side. So that is why it will be on the paired structure. So see the superficial and deep structure. So this is the superficial structure actually. See the superficial structure. So this is the ischiocavernosus muscle, and then this is the superficial transverse perineal muscle. So this is the part actually. So like that, this side also there will be one ischiocavernosus muscle and then superficial transverse muscle. So come to the deep part. In deep part there is the muscle called the deep transverse perineum. So like that. So this is the clitoris and then urethral part. So urogenital diaphragm also we discussed. So next come to the deep perineal pouch. So it is formed by the inferior and superior layer of the urogenital diaphragm, together called as the urogenital diaphragm or triangular ligament. So already show it in that picture actually, that urethral part, it is covered by the urogenital diaphragm. So the contents of the following muscles, that is the deep transverse perineum. So that is also the paired muscle, and then sphincter urethrae membranous. So both the pouches contain the vessels and nerves, both the superficial and then. So the next one is the anal triangle. So it has got no obstetrics important. So it contains the terminal part of the anal canal with the sphincter ani externus, anococcygeal body, ischiorectal fossa, blood vessels, nerves and lymphatic. So the next session we will discuss about the obstetrical perineum. So before that we discussed about the anatomical perineum, and from the starting we discussed about the external genitalia. In that external genitalia, the parts of the thing is mons pubis, vulva, labia majora, labia minora, vagina and hymen. So discussed about the thing actually. So the next class we will discuss about the remaining type of the perineum and other things. So thank you. We will see in the next session.